Hello everyone, I'm Shaista Khan from STEM Education. Today we are going to study, or today we are going to study about classification, chapter 1, year 9, biology. Fine. So in this topic, we are going to study about the taxonomy and why classification is important, what is classification, and what is the hierarchy of classification, who has done this classification, and why do scientists classify things? It means why it is important to classify things, and how many known species are there, what are the defining characteristics of each species, what are the relationship between these species, right? So on the basis of taxonomy, a branch of biology that deals with names and organisms, organizes organism according to their characteristic is a classification, or we can also define classification. The organism, let me write it here. The definition of classification. Why it is necessary? Classification is necessary for grouping things, right? So classification, the organization of organism, the organization of organism, the organization of organism into groups, organization of organism into groups based on their characteristic, based on their characteristic. Based on their characteristic and structure, This is known as classification. Classification system, we also reflect the evolutionary relationship between organisms. You know what? Classification, basically why classification has done. Classification made our life easy. And it is done for our convenience. And who has done the classification first of all? The first classification was done by Aristotle. First classification was done by Aristotle. Who was the Aristotle? Aristotle was the Greek philosopher as well as a teacher. He was a Greek philosopher and a teacher more than 2,000 years ago. He was what? He was a Greek philosopher and a teacher. And what? More than 2,000 years. He had done classification more than 2,000 years ago. All right. All right, Talha. Is it visible? Is it visible and am I audible to you? All right. So, what I have done, did you get it? I've already talked about taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch of biology that name and organizes the organism into groups. And I have also talked about the classification, why it is important. Classification is the grouping things into particular groups. Suppose you are having a different kind of books at your home. You must have so many kind of books at your home. So why classification is important here, you can understand that you are having a different subject of book. You keep all the books at one place, and if you want a science book, if you want a biology book, so it will be difficult for you, to get a biology book at once at a one book. So if you keep your book like according to the subject or a subject wise, so it will be easy to you to pick one book at one time, right? That's why classification or grouping is important, and that's why scientists have done the classification because you know what? There are more than 12,000 species in the world, or which is known. So then that will be it was very difficult to consider that which animal or which species came in which category so that we can understand, we can study more about them. So that's why classification happened. And classification system, very first was classification introduced by Aristotle. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher and a teacher. It was he has done classification with before it was 2,000 years ago, right? He was the first person to group and classify species, right? Or organism. Classification, he classified organism as plants and animal. But Aristotle has classified organism only in two categories. Only in two categories. First one is plants, and second one is animals. But there are a lot of there are a lot of type of organism present. Like, and if you talk about the plant, there are some plant which has flower, or we can say that there are some plants are flowering plants, some plants are non-flowering plants. Some plant grow with the help of seeds, and some plant doesn't grow with the help of seeds. Like angiosperm and gymnosperm, we can call it. So that's how it was very difficult for the scientists to study about them particularly or specifically, right? And if you talk about animals, there are so many types of animals. Like some animals have four legs, some animals have feathers, some animals have limbs, you know what? And some are microorganisms. It means we can call it like some are unicellular or a single cellular organism, some are multicellular organism, right? So Aristotle has divided organism into two categories only. First one is plant, another one is animals. Fine. And after some time, it doesn't work well. So after Aristotle, another scientist, name was Carolus Linnaeus. Another scientist whose name was Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus give me a second. Okay. So the second scientist was Carolus Linnaeus, who has given a modern classification system. Carolus Linnaeus was given a classification known as the modern classification system. Modern classification system. And it is also popular in our studies nowadays. We are also studying about the modern classification system, right? So Carolus Linnaeus was given a modern classification system. Fine, we will study more about that. Fine. So Carolus Linnaeus devised a new classification system based on, he has given a classification system based on morphology, right? Morphology, organism from morphology, organism form, and structure. I hope it is visible. Form and structure. Structure of the organism, right? He introduced the system in 1735. He introduced the modern classification system in 1735, right? 1735, okay? Actually, he divided, see, before going on the division, first of all, let me tell you, see, we are still using this system. We are still using this kind of modern classification system, and we grouped the organism. See, here I'm writing. Grouped the organism in a hierarchy. He grouped, Carolus Linnaeus has grouped the organism in hierarchy. In hierarchy. In a hierarchy of 7 levels. Or 7 levels. He grouped the organism in hierarchy in a 7 levels. Fine. So Carolus Linnaeus was the second biologist, you can call him biologist, in 1735. He was given a modern classification system, and we are still using this system. We are still using this system, and he divided the he given the classification system on the basis of morphology, organism forms, and the structure of the organism, right? And he grouped the organism in hierarchy of 7 levels. What was that? What is that level? We will come to, all right? And the next thing, what Carolus Linnaeus has given, or what Carolus Linnaeus has classified, is it visible to you? He created a scientific naming system. He created a scientific naming system. He created a scientific naming system which is known as binomial nomenclature. Created a scientific, Carolus Linnaeus, a scientist or a biologist, he created a scientific naming system to organize the organism or species, which is known as binomial nomenclature. System called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. Okay? Correct? Is there any doubt till here? What is the meaning of binomial? The meaning of binomial, bi means 2. The meaning of bi means 2, and the nomial meaning is naming. Nomial meaning is naming, right? See, but what was the limitations? What was the limitations of binomial naming system? The limitations of the binomial naming system was the description of organism is based on what? Latin names. There are few limitations of this binomial naming system. That was the naming, binomial naming system, nomenclature, or you can say that nomenclature or a description. Description of organism. Description of organism is based on what? Using Latin name. Using Latin name. Using Latin name. You know what? But the problem was using Latin name. It was too long to. Latin name was too long to understand, to memorize. It was too long. You know what? And it doesn't show evolutionary relationship. This, the Latin, it is based on what? There is a few limitations of binomial nomenclature. So that's why they were using Latin name, but Latin name, the problem was using Latin name was that it was too long, right? The meaning of the Latin name was too long and doesn't show evolutionary relationship, right? Let me tell you what is binomial. Let me give you some examples. Like if I talk about humans, like me and you, we all are humans. We are having some scientific name. So the scientific name is Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens. This is the scientific name of human being. Fine. You know, if you talk about frog, the scientific name of the frog is Rana tigrana. Rana tigrana. And the scientific name of a vampire bat is Desmodus rotundus. Desmodus rotundus, right? So here, binomial nomenclature was, if you study about the binomial nomenclature, so you come to know that the meaning of the binomial is bi means two and nomial means naming. It means it is formed by the two names. Fine, it's formed by the two names. And here the two scientific names. See, if you talk about humans, there's the two scientific names. First is Homo, second one is sapiens. First one is Rana, second one is tigrana. Fine? Yeah. So the first name is the genus name. The first name is the genus name, and the second one is the species name. Yeah, or species identifier. The first name will be the genus name. Genus name, and the second name will be the species identifier. Species identifier, so that you can identify by seeing the second name, that from which species these organism belongs. Right? So sapiens belong to the humans belong to the sapiens species, and what is its genus name? Homo is its genus name. Right? I hope it is clear to you. Am I visible properly? Let me drop the code. See, and what is the rule of writing binomial name? There are a few rules you have to follow while you are writing a scientific name. First one is you have to write the genus name first, and after that you have to write species identifier or species name after that. And the second rule is you have to write a capital letter. You have to start with a capital letter. Fine. And the another name will be in the lower case. The another name. Here you can see either you have to write in an italic manner, or you can underline. You can underline the name, right? So I have written Homo sapiens here. Here you can see H. The start, when you are starting a name, so the first letter should be in a capital form, and all the names will be in a lower case. Or either you can write in an italic form, or you just have to underline. What you have to do? You just have to underline. All right, it is clear. Either you can italicize or underline the name. Fine. So this is the basic rule of writing binomial nomenclature. Fine. And see, genus name will start from the capital letter. The first word will be the capital letter, but the species name will be in a lowercase. Okay? Let me tell you about the morphology. Do you know what? Can you tell me something about the morphology? Do you know what is morphology? You don't know? No problem. I'll explain. I'll explain you later. Okay. So now I'm going to write taxonomy hierarchy. As I told you that this the organism is based on, it is divided in a hierarchical manner. Fine. So what is that hierarchy that I'm going to write here? Taxonomic classification, taxonomic hierarchy, or classification system. So the first taxonomic hierarchy is the kingdom. The first one is kingdom. The first one is kingdom, phylum, class, kingdom, phylum, class, order. Order is visible. Class, order, family, group, or family, genus, and species. And species. So you can write in a hierarchical manner from top to bottom because the bottom side of my board is not visible. That's why I have written here. Right? So this is the hierarchical system or a taxonomic hierarchy of species or organism. So first one is kingdom, second one is phylum, third one is order, class, and after that order, and then family, genus, and species. Right? So you can also learn with the help of mnemonics. I'm writing the mnemonics here. It will be easy to remember. It will be easy to learn. Mnemonics like kids prefer cheeses. Kids prefer cheese over fried. Kids prefer cheese over fried. Green over fried. Green spinach. K stands for kingdom, P for phylum, C for class, O for order, F for family, G for genus, and S for species. So it will be easy to understand and easy to remember that this is the mnemonics you can understand, or you can write in your notebook so that it will be easy to learn. Right? Kids prefer cheese over fried green spinach. Fine? Are you writing? Or should I rub it? Writing? Should I rub it? Talha? See, kingdom is the largest. Kingdom is the largest species, kingdom is the largest in the in the hierarchy, and the species is the smallest, most specific classification. Kingdom is the largest, and the species, it is the smallest. It is the smallest and most specific classification. And most specific classification. Okay? Did you get it? What I said till here? Do you have any doubt? All right, that's good. That's good. Right? So, kingdom is the largest classification, and the species is the smallest and most specific classification. As I said, Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is the scientific name of human being. So Homo is the name of what? Genus. Genus. Here. Homo tells us about the genus name, genus classification, or from which genus these organisms came from, right? And the species name is sapiens. Like what is the specific classification of these organisms? So species, it means sapiens. Sapiens came from the species classification, the most specific or the smallest classification, right? So in this hierarchy, which organism came? So that's, I'm going to write here. You need to understand, okay? Kingdom, phylum, class, order. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, order, and family, genus, and species. I hope it is visible. So in kingdom, Animalia, kingdom, Animalia, phylum, Chordata. It is also mentioned in your book. Phylum, Chordata, class, Mammalia, class, Mammalia, class, Mammalia, order, carnivore, family, Felidae, genus, Panthera, species, Leo. Species is Leo. Okay. So you can write the naming system in your notebook. So what is specifically, if you talk about species, so what do you mean by species? Species is a group of organisms that can reproduce and produce fertile offspring. A group of organisms, species means what I have written here, the second one, in a binomial nomenclature, the second name is the species, and species means a group of organisms that can reproduce and produce a fertile offspring, right? See, there's a question in your notebook, in your book, which is mentioned here. Write down the genus of the giant pangolin. You have to write a pangolin name. Okay. These are the classification. First of all, we will study about the each and every class, each and every hierarchy here. So the first one is kingdom animalia or a animal kingdom. We are going to study about the basic characteristic about the animal kingdom or kingdom animalia. Animals or a kingdom animalia. So what is the basic characteristic of this animal kingdom or a kingdom animalia? Like animal is what? It is a multicellular organism. You know what? Why I have written here multicellular? Do you understand the meaning of multicellular and a single cellular? Or we can say that prokaryote and a eukaryote. Can you tell me a little about the multicellular? Can you tell me? Do you know what is multicellular? What is the meaning of multicellular? If you know that, it's well and good. If you don't know, I'll tell you. Okay. So tell me about the multicellular. Tala, you can write, or you can either you can write, or you can turn on your mic and speak up. What is multicellular? Do you know the answer? Yes. Yeah, that's right. Multicellular means multicellular organism means their body contain more than one cell. Their body contain more than one cell. It means we all are multicellular organism. Our body is made up of more than one cell. You know what? What is cell? Cell is the building blocks of organism. The cell is the basic functional fundamental unit of life. So we human being or those organisms which you are able to see with your naked eyes that are multicellular organisms. Fine. This is the characteristic of animals. Fine. In animal kingdom, the characteristic of animal is what? Multicellular organism. All organism which belongs to the animal kingdom are multicellular organism. Fine. Next one is the cells have what? Cells have nucleus. Cells have a nucleus. You know, what is the function of nucleus? You can say that it's the brain of the cell, and it controls the cell. So cells have a nucleus, but no cell wall, but no cell wall, but no cell wall. Cell wall is present in the plant cell, but there is no cell wall present or chloroplast, no cell wall or chloroplast. What does that mean? No chloroplast, because chloroplast and cell wall is present in the plant cell. Chloroplast provide the green pigment to the plant, or we can say that chloroplast contain a chlorophyll which help in photosynthesis and provide a green pigment to the plant. That's why it is absent in a human cell, or we can say that animal cell. There is no cell wall and no cell wall and chloroplast, because cell wall protect the cell membrane to the plant. But human being, we are having a several layer to protect ourselves, which is there are several layers, like we have a skin to protect ourselves. We can wear different kind of clothes, right, to protect ourselves. So, but plant don't have ability to protect ourselves from the harsh weather, from a different kind of climate. That's why they have this. Those animal cells have a cell wall present on it. Okay. The next one is animals are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. Heterotrophs, or we can say that animals are depend on another organism for their foods. Yeah, that's why they're known as heterotrophs. Fine. Feed, or we can say that animals feeds on organic substance. Feed organic substance. Organic substance made by another living organism. Feed organic substance made by other living organism. So these are the basic characteristic of animals, or which belongs to the animal kingdom. So animals are very easy to recognize. There are different kind of animals. Like if you see a centipede, black hedged bull, or you can say that a dove, earthworm, dog, cats, all have a different characteristic, but there are some kind of similar characteristic. Like these are the similar characteristics, right? They are multicellular, which we can see with our naked eyes. They have cells. They have this nucleus present in their cells. They are heterotrophs. They feed another organism, which produced by or made by living organism, another living organism. These are the basic characteristics of our animals. Fine. Next one is plant. Next one is plant. From the kingdom system, the next one is plant. The basic characteristic of plants are, it is also multicellular. It is also multicellular. It is also multicellular because we can see with our naked eyes. That's why it is made up of multicellular or more than one cell, so that we can easily recognize the plants, like which plant is which. Well, if you are having a plant at your home, so you can easily recognize that what type of plant you are having at your home. So it is a multicellular organism, but it can make its own food. It doesn't depend on the another organism to feed, right? So it has a cell, it has a nucleus present in a cell, but they have cell wall and a chloroplast also present, right? So cells have nucleus present in it. Cells have a nucleus, just like a animal cell. Fine. So nucleus present and cell. See, this is the, if you want to understand, suppose this is a cell of a plant. Fine, cell of a plant. There's a vacuole present in the plant cell. So nucleus is present in the plant cell also, as I said. This is suppose it's a cell of an animal cell, but there is no cell wall. But in plant cell, there is a cell wall present on the cell of a plant cell, but there is no cell wall present in the animal cell. Fine. But there's a nucleus present in it. Okay. There's a chloroplast also present. Chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll. That's why plant, you can see the green color of the plant, or it provides the green pigment to the plant. Cell wall present, and cell wall made of cellulose, made of cellulose. Cellulose and often contain chloroplast. And because there are some plants, there's this exceptions, some plants which do not contain chloroplast, or the plant which you can see, they don't have a green in color, they don't have a green pigment. It means they don't contain chloroplast, or they don't have, their cells don't contain chloroplast. That's why they don't have a green color. Fine. Cell wall made of cellulose and often mostly they contain what? They contain chloroplast. But animal cell, it doesn't contain chloroplast, or it doesn't have a cell wall to protect themselves. What is the function of cell wall? Cell wall protect the cell from the inner cell organs from the outer environment. It protects the cell or an organ, it's an organ from the outer environment. Right? This is the function of cell wall. Basically, cell wall protects the cells. All right? It performs photosynthesis. It performs photosynthesis. Animal cells or animal doesn't perform photosynthesis, or it cannot, animal cells or animal cannot make its own food, but by performing a photosynthesis, a plant can make its own food. That's why it is known as autotrophs. That's why it is known as autotrophs. And the plant has, it may have roots. It may have roots, a root system and a shoot system. Okay, it has a root system and a shoot system, or you can say that it has roots, stem, leaves, and many branches. So you can write here root system and shoot system. Okay. So these are the characteristics of plant. So these are the characteristics of plants. Is there any doubt till here? Next one is fungi. Fungi or fungi. Fungi or fungi. The next kingdom that belongs to the fungi. Fungi or fungi. Kingdom fungi. Kingdom fungi. Generally, fungi is a multicellular organism. Generally, it is what? It is multicellular organism. multicellular organism. But yeast is also belongs to the fungi family, which is what? Which is unicellular organism. But generally, it is what? It is multicellular. If you see the example of a fungi, so that is mushroom. Mushroom. Did you eat? Some people also eat as a food also mushroom, and so generally it is a multicellular, but there is a yeast. Yeast belong to the family of fungi, which is unicellular organism, right? So fungi were classified as a plant long time ago. It is classified in the category of a plant, but you know what? It's not came in the, after that, but after some time, it just actually it's keep outside of the family of a plant because it cannot perform photosynthesis. It doesn't have chloroplast, or it cannot. This is and fungi is what? It's not an autotroph. It cannot make its own food. So fungi is generally it is a saprotrophs. It based on the basically it feeds on the dead and decaying organic matter. Fungi feeds on the dead and decaying organic matter. Fine. It has a fungi have a nuclei. Fungi have a nuclei present in it. Have a nuclei present in it, right? Because it is what? Generally, it's a multicellular. So nuclei present in it. Nucleus is present in a single cellular organism also. Right? It has a cell wall also. Cell wall present. Cell wall present. But the cell wall is not made up of cellulose. But cell wall is not made up of cellulose. It's not made up of cellulose. Cell wall. It has a cell wall present in it, but cell wall was not made up of cellulose. Okay? Because it do not have chlorophyll. It do not, or fungi does not have, it's not having, do not have chlorophyll. That's why it cannot perform photosynthesis and it cannot make its own food. Fine. It is saprophytic. It is what? It is it gains the nutrition from the saprotrophic nutrition, or you can say that it is a saprophytic organism. Fine. It means, or it is what? Feed by saprophytic nutrition or a parasitic nutrition. Saprophytic or parasitic nutrition. Saprophytic or parasitic nutrition. You know what? What is the meaning of saprophytic and parasitic nutrition? Saprophytic means it gains or it acquired food from the. Let me tell you, what is the meaning of saprophytic? It means it gain its food or it take its food from the dead and decaying organic matter. Fine. From dead and decaying, feed from dead and decaying. If it is visible, dead and decaying organic matter. What is that organic matter? That organic matter, it means whether it could be a plant or a animals. Fine. And the parasitic means lives on the body of host. Parasitic means lives on host body. What is host? Host body. let me tell you some examples. For examples, if you take an example of leeches, which is present on the head of body of the animals, so that leeches is what? It's a parasite which gain nutrition from the body of the animal. They suck the blood and gain nutrition from them. So the body where the organism lives and gain nutrition from them, and in most of the cases it doesn't harm the host, but in some cases it will be the cause of the death of the host also. So that is known as the host. Host is the organism on which parasite lives. Right? Host is what? If you don't know about the host is what? Host is the body. Host is the body of organism, or host is the organism on which parasite lives and take their nutrition. On which parasite lives and take their nutrition. Take their nutrition. Fine. So for example, if you talk about mosquitoes, mosquitoes is what? It's a parasite, because mosquito sucks our blood. It takes nutrition from our blood, and that's why they survive. If it is not possible to suck the blood, so a mosquito cannot survive, because from the blood, from our blood, from the animal's blood, or from a human's blood, they gain nutrition so that they can survive. So that mosquito is known as parasite, and if it is living on the body of a human body, so human body is host, or an animal's body, so animal's body is what? It's a host. Right? Now you got it. What is host? What is parasite? What is saprophyte? And saprophyte is the dead and decaying organic matter from where fungi feed, fine, or grow. Have you ever seen that a rotten plant? Sometime you must have seen the rotten plant which is lying on the field. So you will see that there is a small kind of plant which is grayish and a blackish color, which grown by itself. So what is that plant? That plant is known as mushroom, because they are getting nutrition and they're getting food from the, yeah, that's right. They're getting food or the nutrition from that dead and decaying plant, right? So this is what? This is the kingdom fungi. This is the basic characteristic of the kingdom fungi. I hope you have already written. See. See, there are some fungi which is useful for us. Some are very harmful for us. So it's very difficult to recognize. So usually we should, you know what, in Muslims, it was saying, it is said that we shouldn't eat a fungi because it is haram. You know what? Why it is haram? Because fungi takes its nutrition from the dead and decaying matter. So that's why it is said haram, right? But there's a category or a yeast which belongs to the family of fungi, fine, which we use in a which we use for a fermentation process while we are using bread or cookies. So we use yeast to ferment the dough of a flour, right? So we use the unusual fungus. Actually, yeast is it's an unusual fungus to make ethanol or a bread, right? Ethanol is what? It's a kind of a alcohol. Or we also use these fungi as antibiotics. As antibiotics, such as penicillin. Penicillin is what? It's a medicine. It's a medicine. We use fungi to make a penicillin, and various different fungi we are using in our daily life, or you can say that for our benefits also. Some fungi are also harmful, as I said. Some fungi are harmful. Some of these cause food decay. It can decay the food, or it can destroy, it can destroy the food. So while few cause diseases, right? Some fungi is a cause of diseases, or we will if it goes into our body, so we will fall sick, including ringworm and athlete's foot. Have you heard about the athlete's foot and ringworm? Ringworm is a kind of a disease. It will grow on our skins like this, like a ringworm. On a ring kind of, it make a ring kind of a structure like this. See, so it is known as, and the reason, the root cause of growing a ringworm is a fungus, right? That is a fungal infection. We will generally call it a fungal infection, right? So some are harmful for us, but some are also beneficial for us. Okay. As I said, fungi do not have chlorophyll, and that's why it cannot perform photosynthesis. That's why it is not came in the category, or we cannot keep in the category of a plant. Instead, they feed saprophytically. They feed saprophytically. As I said, they get food from the dead and decaying matter. Okay, or parasitically, or it lives on lives on a host body. Okay. You will never see in your life that a fungus is grown on a soil, because it cannot grow on a soil, because it cannot take its nutrients from the soil, right? It can grow on a feces. That's why it is haram. It grow on a feces. It grow on a dead animal or a dead plant. So dead animal, plants, right? So it gets nutrients from them. So that's why fungi or fungus is what it's around for in Islamic and in a Muslim religion basically, or in Islam. So that's about a fungi or a fungus. I hope you understand. There's some mushroom. People also eat mushrooms. Some mushroom are edible, but some are not edible. Some are toxic. There is another category, that is Protoctista kingdom. Do you have any doubt till here, Chala? Chala, do you have any doubt till here? Okay. All right. So we have two more categories left, two more kingdoms left. First one is Protoctista kingdom, and next one is Prokaryotes kingdom. So in our next class, I will explain you about the Protoctista kingdom and the Prokaryotes system or Prokaryotes kingdom. Okay. What is the basic characteristic? And after that, we will also study about the viruses. And after that, we will study about the classifying animals. All right? How animals are classified in how many categories. So before that, before ending our class, I'm giving you some homework. Just write down in your notebook. Are you writing? Homework. You have to write homework. Okay, page number 7 in your book, page number 7, question number 1.2, both A and B part. You have to complete both 1.2, both A and B part you have to complete. Okay. You have to write, and Second question you have to write. I'm writing here on the board. Second question you have to write on your notebook. That is, write the difference between animal kingdom and plant kingdom. Okay, this will be your homework. You have to complete it. You have to show me in your class. I'll ask you a question. You have to give me an answer. If you want to give me an answer by turning on, yeah, of course. It is visible. Is it visible now? Did you copy the question? Have you written? Tala, have you written? All right. All right. So that's all for today. We'll meet, inshallah, in our next class. Okay. Okay. Bye. Bye. Bye.